What's up guys, Mike here, and I think it's safe to say that the NBA's MVP is probably the most important MVP in all of sports. I mean, baseball has 2 MVPs and 2 Cy Youngs. Football, who even cares who wins the MVP there? But in basketball, the MVP is a huge deal. And the problem here is that they don't always get the MVP right. In fact, sometimes the voting goes horribly wrong. So today we are looking at the 10 worst MVP decisions in NBA history. Starting with the most recent and going all the way back to 1962. And one quick note before we start the video, I am doing a giveaway to say thank you to you guys for 500,000 subscribers. So if you want to win an Amazon gift card, stick around until the end. And for now, let's start the video. Number 10, 2008 Kobe Bryant. We're starting things off with some serious controversy, but that's good. This video will be controversial. And don't worry, this list will find Kobe winning his only MVP in another year, so hold your hate for just a second. Quick note guys, on every single one of these segments, I'm going to be showing the MVP voting results for that year. It's pretty simple, just know that FPV stands for first place votes and points stands for the total amount of votes the player received in that year. Anyway, looking at the 2008 MVP voting, we see Kobe Bryant and Chris Paul finish as the number 1 and 2 vote getters with very similar numbers. Kobe had more points and rebounds, Chris had more assists and steals. Their teams also almost finished with the exact same record, as the Lakers won just one more game than the Hornets. But the biggest indication that Paul got screwed this year comes in the form of advanced numbers. A simple glance shows that in 2008, Kobe finished with a 24.2 PER and 12.7 win shares. Chris Paul, on the other hand, finished the season with a staggering 28.3 PER and 17.8 win shares. On top of this, 2008 was the Hornets' first full season back in New Orleans after the devastation brought by Hurricane Katrina. The play of Chris Paul this year didn't just help his team win games, it helped to rebuild a broken city in their darkest hour. The problem though was that Kobe was clearly one of the best basketball players in NBA history and yet had never won the MVP. So to be honest, Chris Paul never had a real chance, which is a shame because Kobe should have already won the MVP, which brings us to number 9, 2005 and 6, Steve Nash. In 2005 and 2006, the 7 seconds or less Phoenix Suns took the NBA by storm with their incredible fast-paced play. The team's ringleader was Steve Nash, who found himself winning the 2005 and 6 MVPs. Now, his selection in 2005 was questionable enough, as we can see that Shaq put up numbers that were just as impressive as Nash's, and he had way better advanced numbers on a Miami Heat team that finished first in their conference, just like the Suns. But still, this was nothing compared to the 2006 season where Nash won the MVP again, despite an all-time historic season from Kobe Bryant. Sure, the Lakers did finish 7th in the Western Conference, and sure, the last 26 MVPs have finished on a team that finished 1st or 2nd in their conference. But let's just take a look at the stats here. In 2006, Nash averaged 19 points per game and 10.5 assists per game while playing on a loaded Phoenix Suns team. Kobe, meanwhile, put up an otherworldly 35.4 points, 5.3 rebounds, 4.5 assists, and 1.8 steals a night while carrying a joke of a Lakers roster to the playoffs. Listen, I can't stress enough how bad this team was. They started Smush Parker and Kwame Brown, for God's sakes. And if that isn't enough to convince you, Kobe also had a clearly better PER and had more win shares than Nash, so it's safe to say that Kobe got robbed this year. Number 8, 1997 Karl Malone. In the 1997 NBA season, Michael Jordan was at the apex of his career. For what seemed like the 100th time, he put up clear MVP numbers and would go on to lead his team to his 5th NBA championship. But yet, he did not win the 1997 MVP, and the reason for this was just voter fatigue. At this point, Jordan had already won 5 MVPs, and to put it simply, people were looking for something new. And so, when an article by Jackie McMullen titled The Jazz Master made a plea for Karl Malone's MVP candidacy, people were eager to jump onto something new. The article began with, "Karl Malone knows Michael Jordan will win the league MVP trophy again," and continued in the same tone. Michael Jordan was guaranteed to win the MVP, and Karl Malone, even though he was having an MVP type season, had no chance. And while I do give credit to Miss McMullen for creating an attempt at a new angle in the same old NBA story, it should have been seen as just that, an attempt at an angle. Instead, this story led to many thinking, hey, Jordan's already won 5. Why don't we vote for the man who doesn't have a chance? Which meant that for a completely idiotic reason, Karl Malone won the 1997 league MVP. Stupid media. Number 7, 1993 Charles Barkley. If the MVP award was given to the best offensive player this season, then Charles Barkley could surely make a case that he did indeed deserve this award. Looking at his numbers compared to Hakeem and Jordan, Chuck put up a solid 25.6 points, 12.2 rebounds, and 5.1 assists a night. But as in the 1997 MVP, the real story here was that sometimes we find that the MVP does not go to the best player, it goes to the best story. The previous year, Chuck found himself carrying a lackluster 76ers squad and forced his way out of Philly after creating headlines with his arguments with teammates and staff. In Phoenix, Chuck found himself rejuvenated and helped the Suns to the top record in the NBA and had several people convinced that Phoenix was on their way to their first NBA title. That wouldn't happen, and Chuck's MVP this year shouldn't have happened either. Because like I said before, if we threw defense out of the window, then yeah, Chuck did have a case. But looking at the defensive stats this year, Hakeem had more steals and finished with a ridiculous 4.2 blocks per game, while Jordan finished with 2.8 steals a night and was either the best or second best defensive player in the league. You can take your pick between him or Hakeem. However, the best story won this year, so Chuck brought home the MVP. Number 6, 1990 Magic Johnson. The 1990 MVP race found Magic Johnson, who led the Lakers to the top record in the NBA against Chuck and Jordan, whose teams finished second and third in their conferences respectively. Now, the voting this year was very weird, as Barkley actually finished with 11 more first place votes than Magic. Now, Barkley could certainly make a case, as he did put up a monster season and finished with a slightly better PER and had more win shares than Magic. But it was Jordan who really got screwed. In this season, MJ put up 33.6 points, 6.3 assists, and 6.3 rebounds a night while also grabbing 2.8 steals. This was business as usual for Michael, and unlike later in his career, where he would lose out on 2 chances at MVPs because of voter fatigue, there is no real reason why Jordan should not have taken home this award. Even his advanced numbers were clearly better than Magic and Chuck's. And when you take into account the fact that MJ was one of the best defensive players in the league while Magic and Barkley were subpar defenders at best, this should have been a no-brainer. Instead, it seems that the voters just went with the superstar whose team finished with the best record, which is again dumb. Number 5, 1978 Bill Walton. I'm really finding it hard to put into words just how absurd this MVP voting was. On the one hand, we had Bill Walton, a man who put up a solid 19 points, 13 rebounds, 5 assists, and 2.5 blocks a night while leading his team to the top record in the NBA. On the other, we had George Gervin, who finished with 27.2 points, 5.1 rebounds, 3.7 assists, and 1.7 steals a game while leading his team to the second best record in their conference. And while right now you're thinking, Mike, there's nothing wrong here, Walton had a better year, you have to remember that Bill Walton missed the last 22 games of this season with a foot injury. Yup, this season Walton played in only 58 total games and was still named the MVP over George Gervin, who played the entire season without injury. But I guess, you know, actually playing in the games was of little importance to voters. So Walton went home with the MVP this year. Number 4, 1973 Dave Cowens. How Dave Cowens won this award is a true testament to the stupidity of MVP voters. First, let me point out that the Celtics did win 68 games and that Kareem did win the last 2 MVPs, so we did have a voter fatigue factor in play here. Now, with that said, the Bucks won 60 games behind Kareem as Abdul-Jabbar finished the year with 30.2 points, 16.1 rebounds, and 5 assists a game. When looking at the two players, Kareem outscored Cowens by nearly 10 points per game and shot 10% better from the field. A huge difference. Adding on to this, Cowens finished with a disgustingly low 18.1 PER and only had 12 win shares, while Kareem embarrassed these numbers with a 28.5 PER and had 21.9 win shares. But hey, let's give the MVP to a center who shot 45% from the field. Who even cares about this thing? Number 3, 1970 Willis Reed. Hey look, again, we have another MVP who won because of a great story. This season, Willis Reed put up a respectable 22 points and 14 rebounds while the Knicks set fire to the city of New York with a league-high 60 wins. Meanwhile, Jerry West led a Lakers team that lost Wilt Chamberlain 12 games into the season to a second-place finish in the Western Conference. Along the way, West put up an awesome 31.2 points, 4.6 rebounds, and 7.5 assists a game, numbers that were clearly better better than the ones Reed produced. Now, if the Knicks weren't so historically awful, the media would have caught on to the real story here, that a future Hall of Famer produced his best season and dragged a horrible roster to a great record against all odds. Jerry West also had a better PER and had more win shares than Willis Reed, but because the New York media rules the world, the logo missed out on his best chance to win his only MVP. NBA voters, I hate you. Number 2, 1969 Wes Unseld. Here we have a nice twist of irony, as while a great story won Willis Reed the 1970 MVP, it also cost him the 1969 MVP. In this year, a rookie by the name of Wes Unseld surprised everyone with his incredibly entertaining style of play. At a time where teams played a very basic style of basketball, Unseld was a breath of fresh air. His signature move was a full court outlet pass, where he would find his teammates with long passes off of rebounds. A beautiful passing style that would later inspire the likes of Kevin Love. And so when Unseld's Bullets finished with the top record in the NBA, people voted for him because that was the fun pick to make. They ignored the fact that Wes only averaged 14 points per game, was a liability on defense as a 6'6" center, and that Willis Reed just flat out had better numbers. And so the media voted Wes as the MVP and then watched as Reed and the Knicks swept the Bullets in the first round of the playoffs. They would go on to correct their mistake by never voting Unseld to the first team All-NBA for the remainder of his career. From MVP as a rookie to never making first team All-NBA a single other time. I can guarantee you that will never happen again. And number 1, 1962 Bill Russell. Now, people think that I hate Wilt Chamberlain because I said his 50.2 point per game season was overrated. And when adjusting his numbers to the modern pace of today, they were inflated. But the thing is, in 1962, they were also still absurd and should have led to him winning the MVP. But no, despite averaging 31.5 points and 2.1 rebounds per game less than Wilt, Bill Russell was named the MVP because the Celtics finished with the league's top record. Yes, you heard that right. Wilt scored more than 30 points per game more than Bill Russell and still lost the MVP. All right, guys, I give up. We are done here. And so thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Like I said, the MVP is just so meaningful in basketball, and it's just weird to see that some years they clearly got it wrong. And just have to say real quick, if you are new to this channel, I do hope you subscribe. Make basketball videos like this, look at basketball history, do basketball what ifs. We do a whole lot here. It's a lot of fun, and if you love basketball, I think you'd love to watch more videos. And now I know what you've been waiting for, or maybe you've forgotten at this point, but I am doing a giveaway. We hit 500,000 subscribers, guys. That is sick. That is halfway to 1 million. You have to remember that on February 1st of this year, I had 9,000 subscribers, and now we have 500,000. Insane. Insane. You guys are the best. And so to thank you, I'm hosting a giveaway on my Twitter. I'm going to give away one $100 Amazon gift card, 2 $50 cards, and 4 $25 cards. All you have to do is retweet the tweet and follow me on Twitter. So I'm going to post the link to the tweet in the description. That's where you can join the giveaway. So good luck, and thank you guys so much again. It's insane. You guys are just the best. And as always, have an awesome day, and cue that music.
What do you mean? Oh, when you nod your head yes, but you want